Good morning. Today is the 16th of June 2026 and I'm going to go through my pre-market prep. Before we do that, let's see what news could move the market or has moved the market, and there's no news pending at all. Nothing at 8:30, all low volatility, and there's not really much to talk about on the news side of things. So let's just go straight to my levels. Give me 2 seconds. Right. Okay, so on my screen, we're going to look at the daily time frame for the S&P E-mini future, so we can see where we are. We can see this nice big little pullback we've had all the way up to the 50 moving average, where we saw a nice bounce. We're getting volume coming in, which is good. RSI is not overbought at the moment, so still looking good. Maybe we might have some continuation. Maybe we're going to put in new all-time highs. We don't know that. We are coming into a couple of volume shelf areas where you can see where we've got areas of confluence. This is the key area where we are right now. We couldn't close above it. This big red candle from a few Fridays ago, last week Friday, that is our control bar. You know, while we're inside that bar, we are still inside where all this selling, so we could just see the market do that. If we do see that kind of action, then we may have this head and shoulders pattern setting up. I'm still hanging on to this head and shoulders pattern. I know we talk about it every day, but you know, until we break the high of that, then it's still a valid right shoulder forming. But we are getting volume coming in. If I saw volume weakening, volume kind of declining as prices pushing up, maybe I would have liked it more. So I'm not an overly big fan of this, but we are coming to this big area of confluence, and we are kind of just holding this area. We're coming into the summer months now as well, where volume gets a bit funny as well. As for volume shelves, we got this big major one below, areas of confluence. We can see where we rejected it a couple of times, and then we rejected it a third time, then we bounced and held it, came back, retested it, and we've yet to retest that 7400 area. So that's a key area to watch, 7400, 7500. We gapped up yesterday in the market. You see that big gap. We don't get many gaps, as you can see. There's hardly any. There's no gaps on this chart, but yesterday's one of the first we've had for a long time. So let's just see whether we get a bit of a gap fill. We'll come back and test this liquidity where these top and tail candles are. Let's drop down to the hourly, come up with some levels today. Let's just zoom out. Okay. Good morning, Craig. And we've got 2 Craigs on today. I'm not sure if that's the same count. Good morning, Paul. We missed you yesterday. I was around yesterday. I'm not quite sure what part, but I was on for about an hour, and then, or not even that, but I had to leave early. I'm actually going away today. So this will be my last live stream until next Thursday. So I'm traveling Wednesday, so next Thursday will be my next live stream. I'm going to try and keep the live streams running for the ES and NASDAQ on the other stream. So hopefully that should still be working. The only problem I'll have is on Sundays, the data connection resets, and I normally have to refresh it every Sunday. I won't be around to refresh it. I might be able to remote in, so maybe we might have some, might not be refreshed next week, but I will try and get it refreshed. So looking at the chart, we are aware of this big hourly, big daily head and shoulders pattern potentially forming. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder. If that forms, that'd be great, but we are now prepared for it. We can draw our trend line in here. You can see this is our trend line. We're kind of still holding it, so potentially we might see more upward movement. Keep an eye on yesterday's high, a break and retest long over that area. We are inside yesterday's range, smack bang inside it. It makes it harder to trade. We know it's like inside these ranges we get days like this where it just chops around, days like this when it just chops around. Maybe we're just going to chop around today. So remember, you don't need to take a position. Sitting on hand is a good position to be in, because it means there's not a losing day. So let's pick up some levels. ready for today's trading. I'm probably not going to do much trading. Like I said, I'm going away later, and I've just got to do some final things, and I want to spend time with my kids before I go as well. So I highlighted on the screen a big area of confluence. It's mirrored by this volume shelf as well, and look where we rejected yesterday. Hopefully somebody capitalized on the levels I gave you. 76, 44, 50. It was marked up there. We said watch that area for a reaction, and how about that for a reaction? Absolutely spot bang on. We didn't really come back down and retest that lower level, 75, 7600, but that's also on watch today. We are smack bang inside this narrow range as well. So for me, I'm going to be watching yesterday's high, 76.44 again, for another reaction like this, and maybe a rejection, or I'm looking for a break and retest long. That's the only two plays I like up there. Similarly down here, I'm looking for a bounce at yesterday's low. If we lose yesterday's low, then we'll be breaking that trend line I drew earlier, and then we can look for a break and retest below 7600. We do not want to be going short into 7600 because that could act as a bounce area. And then as for this volume shelf, I know we're only isolated on the last couple of days here, but we're smack bang inside pre-market high, pre-market low. For me, if we're looking for longs, we look for a breakout over pre-market high into yesterday's high. Otherwise, look for a breakdown below pre-market low into yesterday's low. And then I'll be looking for bounces and rejections in those places. That's it. It's an inside day. I'm not personally going to be interested in trading too much. I might stay on, look for a scalp. I do want to draw this trend line in to see where we are, and that's our trend line. Depends where you want to draw it. We're kind of holding this trend line. So while we are rejecting it up here, I like the rejection back down. And that'd be perfect because that'd be setting up this head and shoulders pattern. What I'm going to do, I have no interest in looking at charts while I'm away, but I'm going to draw this pattern in and see how close we were to it when I get back next week. I'm going to leave that in place. That's the pattern I'm expecting. Obviously, I'm not going to take any of it. If you see this trend line break, we can watch for a potential rejection. Maybe as a swing play back down. That's a potential swing play. Head and shoulder patterns I do quite like. Notice a high volume as well. Could that be ending volume? I don't know. But let's just keep an eye on that pattern potentially setting up. The only reason I like it is because we've broken that trend line, and then we going to retest that trend line on the upper side. If we do, it might be a new all-time high. But it's just interesting to see. We might even invalidate this pattern today anyway. But I like putting these patterns in place because I like to just see how close we were. Looking at the next area down. So we've got our volume shelf. Another area we can watch for a bounce today. If we do, or tomorrow, we'll be around that 7,500. That's a half a psychological number. So keep an eye on that 7,500 for a potential bounce or reaction. You know, we might not just sell off if we're putting this pattern. We might just come back down, retest it like that. So we've got loads of areas of reactions. And I think that's pretty much. As I won't be around next week, let me just quickly go over a potential 4-hour chart of areas to watch out for. I'll draw the levels on, and maybe you want to take screenshots. So one zone, I'm going to do it as one zone to watch is this area here for a potential bounce. That is around 7,000 I meant. So keep an eye on this zone. This is a bounce area. We also have a little tiny volume shelf above. Let's draw that in. That's that area confluence just there, and that's around 7,200. That's another area to watch. So let me just draw that in as well. 7,200. This zone here is a potential bounce area. Oh, hang on, I'll do the trading view one so I can see where we got to when I come back. Keep an eye on that zone there for potential bounce as well. 7,200. And then that's pretty much it. We can also keep an eye on 7,400. This zone around here for another potential reaction. And then we've got 7,500 today. So these are areas to be watching for the next few days for reactions. Hopefully we can retest them, and that means my head and shoulders pattern would have worked out. And I think that's pretty much it really on ES. So I might take a look at the charts during the week, but I most likely won't. As Craig says, enjoy the vacation. I deserve it. I do. I work flat out every day Very rarely take time off. And if I'm not doing this, I'm doing stuff for the scouts as well. So I do put a lot of time in stuff outside of trading as well. So nice to actually take some time off. Back down to the hourly. Let's go through the other sectors now. Looking at S&P. SPY. I do like this zone here for a potential bounce, and that's 750. And then the same as ES, we could potentially watch for reaction around this zone here, around 730. Otherwise, if we're going to put in a new all-time high, look for a break and retest long over yesterday's high. We are smack bang inside yesterday's range, so trade that with caution. We had a big reaction. Let's see what happens when we get back up to that 75, 756, 757 area. SPX next. We got loads of time. It's 13 minutes before the market opens. SPX, look at that. We came right into this volume shelf, and that's why we keep an eye on these volume shelves and point controls. 75.80, yesterday's high. That's a reaction point, big reaction. We have this big gap fill as well potentially, and generally the market will fill the gap. Notice this gap here, we started to fill it up here. We're not quite there yet, but maybe we might see more upside before we see some downside. But keep an eye on this big gap fill, especially next week or the rest of this week. We might see a bounce off of yesterday's high or previous day's high there. So keep an eye on yesterday's high, 75.80 for a reaction. If we break above it, look for longs over that. If we break below yesterday's low, keep an eye on that for a short to fill this gap. Obviously, one other point to make a note of, 7,500, smack bang down there, that's a psychological number. 7,600 and 7,400, keep an eye on those areas. NASDAQ next. NASDAQ is looking a little bit more relative strength in the post-market than ES did. Hasn't quite put in new all-time highs. We are holding this trend line. Let's draw that trend line in. We're kind of right on that trend line area there. So if we're going to break that trend line, we're looking for a break and retest of that 30,830 to 30,900. A retest back up in that zone. Keep an eye on 31,000, psychological number. Obviously, otherwise, if we come back into this trend line, we might see it bounce, and we're just kind of eating time off the clock there at the moment. If we see a bounce, we can watch for a bounce over yesterday's high, pre-market high, into new all-time highs. Potentially, we've got 30, that's an all-time high there, 31,105, 3,100 is a psychological number. If we lose that area, keep an eye on this 30,000 psychological area as a bounce. Notice to the left-hand side, the volume shelf we've got sitting there. So that isn't zone to watch. So from 30,000 down to 29,800. That's a zone we watch for a reaction. QQQ, pretty much the same. We've got this gap fill potentially. Keep an eye on a bounce back down at that 722, 725 area. If we lose pre-market low, let's watch for a break and retest for the short. Otherwise, we can watch for a bounce, like on ES, watch for a bounce at these levels and look for a break and retest long and over yesterday's high, pre-market high. Oil next, the only one, the only one which is pretty red on the day. How about that? We talked about this watching for a potential swing play. I never took it. I wasn't really watching it that well. Even though I talk about it every day, I don't always. Basically, when I'm done trading, I'm literally done in front of my machine, so I kind of walk away. That's the zone we was watching. If we get back up into that zone, I like it for a break and a decent break and retest with an air gap. We've already had a break and retest of this area here. We came back, retested it. We lost it here, came back and retested that zone, 91, big volume shelf. So for me, this play's probably gone, but we do have this area of confidence. We can watch for a rejection back up the 87, 88 area. So keep an eye on that area. We are also bouncing off this level we put in, 76, 88. How about that? We're absolutely smack bang on that level as well. And that was an area of confidence going back several weeks. Going to 4 hour, does that have something else to look at? No, pretty much that's the bottom of these pivots, and we came right into it. Gold next on the hourly. Do I like this as an inverse head and shoulders pattern? We're at a bottom of a potential trend, so yeah, that ticks one item. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder. Potentially we've got a neckline. I like the break and retest over yesterday's high long, so into that trend line, and that's an area we can watch for reaction. Notice that's a reaction point 44.63 could be a target. 43.91 long, although we do have a psychological number 4400 slightly above. So maybe a break over 4400, a retest, and then a long into that trend line. That's probably the only play I like. If we break this trend line, a rubbish line. If we break this trend line below pre-market low, yesterday's low, keep an eye for a break and retest short to be continue this trend. I can see slight increase in volume down here as well. Normally that's a sign of ending volume. Just this area here happens to be down there. Maybe we're seeing a turnaround. This is the early warning sign. I'm not interested in going long, especially if it's a swing, unless we break this trend line and break long, but we might be just starting to see it. RTY next. Again, we're smack bang inside yesterday's range. We're inside a narrow look how narrow this pre-market range is. So we really need to be breaking out this range. So if we hold pre-market high over 3,000 for the long, notice the psychological number we held, kind of bounced yesterday, lost it, and then came back, rejected it, rejected it in the pre-market and post-market. If we get below pre-market low, I like the break and retest short, then we'll be losing that 50 moving average as well on this hourly chart. Otherwise, keep an eye on yesterday's high of potential target, and that's it. Just want to play outside that range. If it stays in that range, I'm probably not interested in trading today. YM, this is the Dow Jones. We are also inside yesterday's range. We are also holding that area there. 52,000, psychological number. So for me, that's a bounce point. Unless we lose it, we can look for the break and retest short. Drawing the trend line in, this line here. We have broken that trend line. Until we start putting in, taking out that pivot under 52, I'm not looking for shorts, but I'll be looking for bounces around this area. We've got a pivot there. We have a slight volume shelf as well. RSI is coming back up into that overbought area as well. We're not quite there yet. So I didn't look at it on NASDAQ. ES is still overbought, by the way, on the hourly. We kind of came down below it. We're kind of right back in that area as well. NASDAQ is overbought as well, kind of just coming out a little bit. So those areas to keep an eye on. So that's YM. And then finally Bitcoin, and we have like over 5 minutes spare as well. Bitcoin was overbought and now it's in the neutral area. For me, I like this. I still like this area. That's our trend line there. Let's draw it. That's our trend line there. So what I like seeing is when trend lines fan, you start seeing them get steeper and steeper. So for example, we might have another trend line like that. Usually when these steeper trend lines break, that's a change of trend. That's why I always draw the trend lines in, just an observation. Is this a left shoulder? Is this a head? Is this a right shoulder? Is this point of control, this red line at the neckline? And did we break and did we retest? Not that convinced. I like to see a bigger air gap. But if we come back down and retest 64, I like it for a long. If we break over 70, 67, I like it for a break and retest long over 68. If we do break out, then let's go back and look at volume on this chart. I'm just looking for a nice move up as a swing play. Is that updated? So there's a volume void just there. So if we can break over 68, we might not have much resistance to push us back up into that next volume shelf, and that's 72. And then when the bigger volume comes in at 75, and then the bigger volume comes in at 79. So maybe a break and retest over yesterday's high might be a good long. And I think that's pretty much it. That's our neckline. I'll come back to that next week. Hopefully that plays out. And then onto the order flow. So let's have a quick look at order flow for a sec. There is a Delta divergence. I don't know if you can see that. We've got price was putting in lower lows here, whereas Delta was kind of, well, that's about the same really. So price and Delta online. Then price was putting in higher highs, but look at the Delta, lower lows. And as I generally say, price follows Delta. What I'll be looking for this divergence play will be a big red bar on the price, followed by a big red bar on the Delta. To break this trend, to break that trend, I want to see it push down. So we'll keep an eye on that today on the open. Otherwise, going back to my levels, which I do need to update the Discord in a few seconds. I'm not a big fan of anything unless we break pre-market high, pre-market low, and then we can probably scalp into one of the yesterday's levels. I think that's pretty much it. It's quite an easy basic day today. Let me just, I'll be with you in a second. What's the date? Thursday next week. I'll just make a note when I'm back. So I'll be back on the 25th. Right, so that is now my, if you're a premium member of the Discord, you've got my levels and what to watch out for in the next few days. I'll put a screenshot in as well, everything. And if you're not, then it's basically everything we just spoke about. I normally add a bit more detail in as well. It's nice to have it written down. Generally, if you are a premium member, the $49 a month is probably less than half of a winning trade, so it's well worth it. You also get to be part of a small community. I like the small communities, and also you get to be get to see all of my educational, all my screenshots, my chart and trade databases, which I've got hundreds of more charts to add to it. It's just finding the time to do it. Give me 2 seconds. Right. Market opens in 30 seconds. So let's make sure we've got a game plan in place. We do not want to be jumping in with no plan. That's why we do the pre-market prep, so that we're fully aware of what we're doing and we're not just making up levels. Don't forget, if you're in this room right now, please hit the like button. We'd really appreciate that. So we've got a delta flip coming up here. Positive delta is going into it, and then a negative delta button. It's right on the open, so I'm not going to pay too much attention to it. Big topping tail candle on the 5-minute chart. Again, we're right smack bang in that really narrow range, pre-market low, pre-market high. So really tough range to be trading in. If we can scalp, we will. I ended the day, some of my accounts were green, some of my accounts were break even yesterday. So I took one more trade after I would come off the live. Just saw a nice setup. Basically using order flow footprints and couldn't ignore it. And it worked pretty well. Just a quick scalp. So negative delta, small positive delta, lots of buy and selling candles. There's no weakness from either buyers or sellers yet. Small positive delta. We've noticed the candle, the volume was a lot less on this candle. So look at this, top and tail, bottom tail, bottom tail. Really hard to play this range while it's like this. Buyers are coming into the market. Look at this big aggressive buying candle. Sellers came in and buyers took control. With no follow through, 150 delta, lack of buyers. Now maybe they might take control now. See, I'm not interested in going long into pre-market high. And look at that. Last time when we got up there, we had 3 5-minute candles, big aggressive selling candles on increasing volume as well. I know it's pre-market volume before 8:30. So it's a tough long into that area. That's why we're patient. We don't jump in. We have a plan in place and we know what we're doing. So you go, buyers are coming in now. We saw that on the Delta candle. Look at that. We're right into pre-market now. If we get, like I said, if we get into pre-market high, I like it for a break and retest long. Otherwise, I'm not really too interested. There's a divergence going on right now as well between NASDAQ and ES. NASDAQ's selling off. ES is showing green candles. So here's that reaction at pre-market high. That's why we don't just jump into it. It tried, it stuttered. We've broken it now. Depends how you want to take the break and retest. Are you taking it on footprint charts or on a 5-minute? I like to see air gaps. And when I say an air gap, I like to see candles, at least 3 or more candles go up and come back and pull back into it. Put a little air gap in. We're now over pre-market high. We've got massive aggressive buyers coming in. So I do like this for a long, but I don't want to go long on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 green candles in a row and one big 5-minute. That's chasing. I'm happily wait for a pullback. So we had a Delta flip here as well. So look at this, big aggressive buyers coming into the high there, into that pre-market high, and then pre-market high couldn't hold and we lost it on negative Delta. And look at that big topping tail as well. That was a big solid green candle a minute ago on the Delta chart. So that's the reason you don't go long into pre-market high. And we did see that on the previous candle. Remember I said it's starting to stutter. When you look at footprint charts long enough, you get to read them. You get to see things, little patterns, how they react before it happens as well. Even though we had a lot of data, a lot of Delta coming into it. So only 8 aggressive buyers, only 2 aggressive buyers this candle. Potentially, there's a short here. But we've got decline in Delta on the selling. So minus 270, minus 160, minus 72. So not quite a short there. And now the buyers are back. Lots of buying imbalances. So this is the break and retest of the pre-market high now. So I'm going to try and find a long if we break pre-market high. So probably long over 66.35 long. Only if we get aggressive buyers as well. I'm watching the Delta. I'm watching the Delta on this. We've got lots of volume coming in right now. I'm going to go long now over 35. So I'm now long. I'm going to see buyers come in then. Here we go. Come on, buyers. Show us what you can do. Let's just put in a new high. It's holding. They go big aggressive buyer in that candle. Let's see if we can follow through on this Delta. Bottom tail candle on the Delta down here. Here we go. Now we're just not. Now we're struggling. Come on in, buyers. I can see you there. Let's see if we can retest that high, that orb, that previous high. Here we go. The buyers. You can see the buyers on the Delta. So we know there's buyers here. Sellers absorbing these buyers up here at the moment. Big negative Delta on this candle, so I'm not a great fan of this. Let's see whether the buyers can absorb these sellers. I generally don't want to get out on the candle I'm watching. I like to watch, see how that candle plays out first. Here we go. So we had a negative Delta and then another Delta flip here. I am going to probably call it. Just keep an eye on this candle. See buyers coming back in on this candle. While we've got these buying imbalances in this candle, I still like it long. So my stop's in the right place. My 10 tick safety stop's just above as well. That just gives me a bit of a lower risk if it does go against me. But we're not getting the follow through. We're getting lots of buyers coming in. Just want to see the follow through. Okay, I'm out on my 10 tick. Positive delta on a red candle. So here we go, aligned point of control. Big bottom tail candle on NASDAQ right now. And we're losing that again. So the buyers come back in. Here you go, buying imbalances at the low here. Same we had on that previous candle. Let's see whether the buyers hold this area. So this is what makes inside days difficult. You got all this back and forth. So are we going to see a move now? The buyers have definitely shown their intent down here. Big positive delta down here. Negative delta. So the sellers, the buyers absorbed all these selling pressure. So let's see now whether the buyers take control. While we're holding this area, look, we've got two green pivots now where we've got buying imbalances. So we know the buyers are good down here. Lack of sellers down here as well. That's why I liked it long originally. So I'm still going with that same analysis. I've yet to be green on this trade, I don't think. I think I may have been up $30 at one point green. It's not been able to take a break out over that area. Might be one of those days where you just don't trade. So we've got some selling coming back in now. Let's see whether the buyers absorb these sellers like they did in the previous candle. So my entry was a break and retest of this pre-market high. It kind of sunk down below pre-market. Maybe I anticipated it a little bit earlier. Small positive delta on a red candle with quite a lot of volume. 4,000 contracts were traded and the sellers couldn't sell. So let's hope. Look at this now. The delta is looking quite strong on the sell side. So I am going to close this trade, I think, right now. Don't like seeing this delta. I think we're going to switch between a short now. Remember I said price follows delta. Big positive delta with no follow through. Hopefully I don't regret what I've just done getting out early. But when you see all this aggressive selling coming in, putting in a new pivot low as well, I will happily jump back in again if we get back over pre-market high. But if not, I'm looking for this delta divergence play. Delta is lining up, just price is lining up, waiting for the break of this 2-minute trend down. Lack of buyers, that's the other reason I didn't like it. Lack of buyers on the high. Don't want to get in on a positive delta, by the way. Okay, so we've taken out, that's why I'm glad I got out. I got out early, saved a bit. So now we've got all this selling. I'm short now. Selling imbalances, I want to see us stay below. Here we go, so as I get in short, the buyers come in. How hard is this? I really want to see it stay below these selling imbalances because we know there's big sellers there. Lack of buyers, that's why I liked it short. That's my 10 tick. And then look at that. Instantly we get a delta flip. And then the buyers come back in. That's a big buying candle. And that's why we trade with caution. And I'm out full loss on that one. And I'm probably done now. That's a hard trade. Tried both directions as well. And it's just stuck inside that range. But I did say earlier, we are inside a narrow range. We are inside. I did say I don't want to trade anything unless we break that pre-market range. Even now, you want to go long, big buyers coming in, and we're just not getting a follow through. But Delta usually follows, price usually follows Delta. We've not seen that as well. Like I said, if we get over pre-market high, I will like it long. If we're staying below that area, I like this Delta divergence play still. Let's just draw the trend lines in so we can see. I'll use the bodies of candles mainly. That area there. You can see where I got in as we broke that trend. And we broke it there as well. It looked good on that candle. So buying Delta, net selling Delta. Give me 2 secs. Well, this is not doing it. I'll be back in 2 minutes. Right. Pretty much starting. But not. Which one did you try? Yeah, US as well. Why? Oh, okay. I'm back. So looking at the comments, good morning to everyone, by the way. Good morning to Craig, good morning to Mayo. And Craig says, green 250, calling it a day. Yeah, good for you, 100%. And good morning 212. I don't know what I am. I don't look at my P&L. I think I'm down, in my mind it's about 200. Go to my rhythmic. I'm down 262, 273 on some accounts and 350 on some other accounts. That's fine, well within my tolerance. So basically 2 losing trades. One I cut short early. One took a full loss. Craig says, can you check NQ768 for a long? Well, okay, I don't give advice on here. This is just educational purposes only. I don't want you going long if I say it's good or bad. if you're watching yesterday's orb, and it's already reacted in the post market at that level, 377.44, you can watch for a bounce in that area, which happens to be today's low. So it looks like it's already happened. It looks like a bit of a buy setup on NASDAQ setting up right now. Big sell off, buyers coming in. So NASDAQ's got more relative strength now than what ES had. No, maybe about the same. So look at this, how old was this? It was sitting inside this 15-minute range. The 50-minute range is in, by the way. 76.24 by 76.36. So we've got some big orders sitting at that 76.36 area. Look at that, 366 orders sitting there right now. 76.39, another 700 sitting there. 76.40, another 200. So potentially, look at those big, bright, thick red lines. Potentially the market moves towards liquidity. So we could watch that for a long, for a scalp long. We've got a couple buying delta flips, bullish delta flips, should I say. Big, look at this, buyers are coming in now. So that delta divergence play is no longer valid. Again, look how hard it is. Buyers come in, price breaks out, sell, price then breaks down. And then we've got a topping tail, topping tail, topping tail. And now it's generating another topping tail on that 5-minute chart. Looking at the 15-minute chart at the top right corner, we've got a big topping tail into today's high and then a big rejection. But I do like seeing what I'm seeing here. We had a green candle on a negative delta with no follow through. Then we had a smaller negative delta. Then we had another delta flip here. Positive delta, big positive delta, lots of buying imbalances. I do like this long over this area again, over 76.35. Do I go long? Okay, I'm going to go long now. This is definitely my last trade of the day. I like it because we've got buyers coming in on the delta. And here we go. I go long and we get a big negative delta coming. Here we go. So now we're taking off. Let's see the buyers come in. When I see buying imbalances, we know buyers are there. They got intent. Usually they got intent. So we just see buyers and price follow through now. So the buyers are definitely there, putting in higher highs. Price was putting in higher highs here. Little delta flip and little divergence there. And we're just going nowhere again. So really, really tough market at the moment. I'm going to cut this one short as well. Buyers came in. That's it, my 10 tick stop. It could be a little bear flag setting up here. Pushed up. We've broken that pivot there. That's why I liked it long. We took out that pivot over 76.35. We're showing buyers coming in. Big buying delta as well. So the entry was good. I went long over a previous red bar as well on a red. It was a green candle at the time. So I still like it long. I'll hold my 20 tick stop. So if price follows delta, then it will be a good long. 2-on-2 says nothing for me yet. I like 76.10 for longs. If we get a nice bounce and confirmation there, 76.10. I can't remember how that. Go back to my levels again. That's around yesterday's low area, isn't it? Yeah, I like that area as well, pretty much. If we lose that area, I like it short as well. And then 2-on-2 also says, I like 76.35 longs if we can hold above it. It's the value area high and the, sorry, I've forgotten what ONH means. So I'm rubbish with acronyms. Sometimes I just make up my own acronyms so it's easier for me. It's 35, which is kind of where we are now. Yeah, exactly where we are. Yeah. So looking at the order flow again. Positive delta, small negative delta, big positive delta. We want to get the follow through now. If we don't get the follow through, then it's not going to work. Well, obviously, it's not going to work. Overnight high, of course. Okay, thank you. So what we're looking for is big positive deltas, small negative deltas, and then that still holds good. But look at this, topping tail, another topping tail, and we're back below pre-market low now. I still like my entry. I think my entry was solid. I'm not sure about the market conditions though. Don't forget, smash the like button, please. I really do appreciate that. And during the week, while I'm not around, please hit the like button on the stream as well. The NQ and ES stream. Just keeps Google recommending me. And here we go, looks like another stop. This is really hard. So this is definitely my last trade. Sadly, I'm going to go away on the week on a losing day. Don't have many losing days. Doesn't hurt me anymore. I don't care about losing days. I'm out because I know my risk management's strong. That's it. 3 losing trades in a row. I'm pretty much done. Tough day today. Really hard reading the market. So good job to Craig making money out of a tough market. Really hard to read. But then we did predict that earlier in the pre-market when I said we're smack bang in this narrow range and we shouldn't do anything until we break out of it. And lo and behold, all my trades were inside that range. So maybe that's a journal entry. Do not trade inside narrow ranges. Listen to yourself. Listen to your pre-market prep. There's no major news today, by the way. So nothing that could move the market. Right, I'm here. Sorry? No, it's not going to do that. Right. I will be back again. I'm going to leave my stream running. I just got to go and check my chickens. Apparently one's not very well. So as I'm going away, I'm going to check it out. So I'm going to leave the stream on, but I will be back shortly. I'm back. What's going on? We saw a big red bar. What happened there? Looking at comments. Craig says, should I call it a day? 100%. It's really horrible market, so definitely don't trade. I got chopped around. Although I think my entries were all okay. Just really difficult to trade. And good morning, Sunny. Welcome back. So this is a potential bounce area. Look at the delta. The price is kind of sold off. The delta's holding the high. We got big positive delta, small negative delta. I like this for a long actually. I'm going to try one last long right here. This is my last. I'm only playing small sizes this week. I've kind of reduced my sizes down. I like the delta breaking out. I like the price breaking. This is a buy setup on the price here as well on the 2 minute. Big aggressive buyers coming in. We've taken out that last red candle, big positive delta as well. That's our control candle. While we stay above that, I like it long. And it's almost like the market's watching me right now and saying, right, pulls long, let's just bring the sellers in. We're putting in this inverse head and shoulders pattern as well. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder. This is the neckline. Again, I'm on relatively small risk compared to my normal trading. I've kind of reduced my risk down this week. I'm probably over trading now 100%. Here we go. So I hit my 10 tick. Here we go. This is how hard it is. You see the perfect setup. As soon as I saw that, I knew how to get in. Big delta flip, lack of sellers, lots of buyers, lots more buyers, lots more buyers, lots more buyers, lots more buyers. The first selling candle, the first moment I get in, then I get stopped out. How about that? So it's tough. So Craig, call it a day. You're green. Don't walk. Just walk away. And I'm calling it as well. There you go. That's another loss. So it's 3 losses in a row. Was that my 4th? Sorry, I got sidetracked. I was looking at my chickens. One of them, I think, was unwell. Hopefully it's okay. Being pecked to bits by it though while I was trying to move it. So that's it. I'm definitely done now. I'm literally sitting on hands. So disappointing end to my before I go away, but it is what it is. This here is one of the plays I watch for all the time. Inverse head and shoulders pattern. Left shoulder, right shoulder, a neckline, a delta flip, lack of sellers. Notice all this lack of sellers here. This is again a really good entry, but no follow through. A breakout on a green candle over the previous red on a big positive delta. It's just really, really difficult. So I would personally, based on what I've done as well myself, walk away, don't even trade, sit on hands. And then all you need to do is look at the 15 minutes, see how ugly it is. Top and tail, bottom tail, something in that range. Couldn't even get that 10 tick move at all today. Normally you get a 10 tick move. Sometimes, you know, 20 ticks and 10 ticks are relatively straightforward, but today it's been tough. Chop, chop, chop all around. But these are the days when you know when to call it. I know I should have called it previously, but this is when you now sit back. It's not my day. And just watch the market. And then potentially say, yeah, my idea was right. My execution, my timing was wrong. I still like the long. Remember we had all that liquidity above? We can see it here on this 5 minute chart, these big bright red bars. That is liquidity sitting above, waiting. That's passive limit orders, that's sellers sitting there. But the market does what the market does. Today, it chopped people in, chopped people out. Everybody who went long, we got short, stopped out on this candle. Everybody went short are now being stopped out on this candle. So that's 2 losing days in a row. It's unusual for me. Look at this, now it's working. How annoying is this? That's still a really good entry, by the way, if you took the long here. So that's the play I wanted, what we got, and that's what I did get, the pullback and the stop out. So again, it's a good call, just my timing was wrong. And that's the risks you take when you have a really tight stop, a 10 tick and a 20 tick stop. And I do that because then if I have a bigger stop, then I need it to move a bigger proportion. But I only want it to go to 10, 20 and 80 ticks. I don't want to be sitting waiting for 50 ticks, not on these scalps. And look at that, perfect entry there on the 2 minute. You should have put your stop at the low. This is a buy setup, by the way. Entry would have been on the break of that green candle or the red candle. And you would have been up about 1 hour right now on that buy setup. But it's days like this when you don't let your emotions take control and you think, right, it didn't work for me, I'll come back tomorrow. Or for me, I'll come back next Thursday, it'll be another day. Can't remember, I might even be back on Wednesday. My calendar. No, I'm flying back late Friday, Wednesday, so it'll be Thursday I'll be back. And again, I might even just take the rest of the week off, depends. So Craig says, I'm green, I'm going to call it, yep, 100%. And he says, advice for me so I don't blow it while you're gone. If you're not sure, don't trade. Don't just take it. And here's the best advice you can have. Before you even have a trade, before you even click any button, write down the areas and the levels you're watching. Have a pre-market plan in place and stick to it strictly. And then don't trade unless you know exactly the setup you're trading. There's no reason to take any trades if it's not part of your plan. So write it down, make a Word document, just say the trading times I trade between. You know, I don't take pre-market, I do market, I do regular hours only, 9:30 to 11:30. Then also put the setups you will only trade. I only trade this setup and that setup, and then specify how you take the entry, where the volume is, and then also how much risk you're willing to allow, you know, and how many trades you're willing to allow. And if you go outside of any of those parameters, then you need to stop. And that's the only advice I can give you. Or just take some time off. Nice to have some time off, rest the mind, and come back stronger. That's what I'm going to be doing. I'm not even going to look at charts while I'm away. I might have a peek, but I'm not overly interested. I do like this long here, by the way. We had a bit of a pullback. Volume is there as well. It's not lower volume. We've got aggressive buyers coming in. And we are coming into pre-market high, so I probably wouldn't want to take it into pre-market high. If we're further down on the orb low, I might have watched it down here for a bounce. But not for me. I've done for the day. Done for the week. And as my kids will be coming home from school in the next few minutes, I'm probably going to be calling it a day as well. I'll spend some time with them for the next hour before I go away. You're welcome, Craig. So don't forget, I've got the other live stream which will be running until Sunday, about problem, and then Sunday it may disconnect from the when the market closes. Let me just put a link in, and that's got all the order flow in. The streamers in the comments. And look at this. This is hard now. Look at this. So you got positive delta, a smaller negative delta, big positive delta, buying imbalances. So this will be the T's in here. So again, if I was looking for a scalp, I would have gone long here. And then on the instantly in that next candle, big negative delta, a positive delta, then a positive delta, then a big positive delta with no follow through, and then a stop out. So that's why you need to know when to call it quits. And even up here, you see all this buying and selling. Buyers on the high, buyers on the high, buyers on the eye, buyers on the eye or on the ask, with no follow through. Really, really tough. And you can see how tough it is by looking at a 15-minute chart. This one on the left, on the right. All these topping tails, bottom tails, indecision, smack bang inside that range. Really, really, really tough market. So these are the days when you definitely need to walk away. And look at this ORB range. We've held the range. We've held the range on both sides. It's gone from the top to the bottom. Now it's going back to the top. It's hugging the midpoint though. Makes it even more difficult. The first selling weakness here. First buyer weakness. Got lots of selling imbalances. Lack of buyers on the ask. And a negative delta. So if you're keen to go long here, this is now saying go short here. Delta's breaking the trend as well. Really hard. Sonny says it's a good day to sim trade. It is indeed. Yeah, I agree. Here we go, and now we're selling off back down to the low. There we go, that's the delta confirmation there. Look at that for a start off. Now we're breaking down. Right, so I just updating my phone so it's got a SIM card when I travel later. Where are we now? So we're breaking the orb. This is a valid orb breaking candle. It opened below the midpoint, it closed below the orb low point. So the short would be the break of 76.20. We've got increased volume on this orb as well. So if we break, we might have already triggered. Let's have a look on my, yeah, it's already triggered this orb short. So let's just see whether we can play this on increase in volume. So I'm going to try, what accounts am I using for this one? What's going on? There's my copier. Here we go, I'm short. Breaking below pre-market low. I'll just play this one and then I'm done. Well, I'm actually going to have to shoot on in a minute, so I'm probably just going to call it a day. But this is doing okay. So put my targets in place. So playing the orb short at the moment. This is a valid play. Breaking of the orb candle. We've also took out pre-market low and today's low as well. So there's a double entry there. So I like it when it does that. This is working out okay. We're coming up to 1R now. 1R would be down to 76. So it didn't put any of my orders in for my take profit. Why was that? Oh, it's got some down, way down here. But anyway, I'm in that orb short. I'm going to let that run. I'm going to come off in a second and just set my stops. I've got a bit more packing to do. Just went out my bag and load the car. So I will be back on Thursday. This is my first winning trade. This is the first trade I got into and it actually went green straight away. How about that for the day? So I will be back on Thursday next week, most likely. If I'm not, I'll put a message up. So have a good week. Trade safe. Don't go against your plans. And don't forget A++ setups only. Remember, have a plan in place before you trade. And like this orb is a plan I have in place before I trade as well. So have a good week, and I'll see you on Thursday. So I'll leave this stream on just for a bit, and then it will come off in the next half an hour or so. So appreciate everyone, and trade safe.